Listen to this episode if you've been marketing for a while and the growth is really slow and you find yourself asking, how do I know if this is going to work or not? Do I need to make a change? Am I changing things too quickly? Do I just need to be consistent? What does all of this really look like? This is what we are going to chat about today. I think this is a really important conversation to have in business is like, when do we know when to stop doing what we're doing? When do we know how to identify when change is necessary? And how do we understand when what we're doing is just not gonna work for us? So today we're gonna give you a little bit of context on this question. This is a Friday coaching sessions episode. So this was submitted by one of you. The context was, I have been marketing my product for 3+ years and I've had some growth, but it feels like it plateaued. I just know that I have so much potential. I try so many things, but how do I know when my marketing plan is just not working? And before I shift to try something else, you hear the be consistent all of the time. How do I know if I just need to be consistent or if I need to just switch opportunities? I truly can tell at this point of just, I analyze people's social media profiles all of the time. I've looked at hundreds, probably thousands and thousands of accounts at this point. I can usually tell within 30 seconds if a profile is making sales or not because I understand what is absolutely necessary. There's a couple of key principles within the marketing and the sales process to allow for things to work. I've seen people that come to me and they're making $5 million. I've seen people that are coming to me and they're making $0 and they've been trying for 10 years. And so I've kind of been able to see the full spectrum of what works, what doesn't work, and what are the key signs and the red flags that I look for when I'm analyzing your profile to see what do we need to change and what does this overall really look like. Before I dive in, I just want to say hello, 10 quick seconds to introduce myself. My name is Madison Page. I am a business growth specialist and I help product-based business owners turn their small business into a brand so you can finally reach that big goal and that big potential that is in your mind. When we really look at this, when we're looking at your product, it is rarely an actual product problem. I think a lot of people are like, should I just toss it in? Like, nobody wants my product. It's never going to work. It's not going to be the case. All right, like clearly I suck. My product sucks. My business sucks. My branding sucks. Let's just toss it in. But rarely is low sales, plateaued growth an actual product problem. Now, if you go to a market and people are buying from you, or if you go to a pop-up, or if you have sales on your website, there is absolutely some proof of concept in that. Now, we just have to make sure, of course, there are things to say, if a business is just not going to work, you need to know when to pack it in and try something new. But oftentimes, that isn't the actual case. Now, it depends on what your goal is. If your goal is trying to be a $100 million company, there might be some certain different little changes that we have to make in here. But I'm going to say, your goal is to have a multi-6-figure, 7-figure company, and this is what you're really trying to do. Low sales and slow growth is rarely a product problem. It's often actually marketing. You can sell hair ties, a very saturated industry, a very boring product, and make $5 million with the right branding and marketing, as long as you can differentiate yourself, communicate the value, communicate the message, and really tell people how they're going to feel when they use that product. You just have to know how to do it. You just have to know how to market it, how to brand it, and how to sell it. That is different than how other people have marketed or sold or branded their boring, monotonous product. You don't need a revolutionary product to have a brand that stands out. Now, is it helpful to have a product that does fill a gap or is an invention? Yes, you're going to see growth a little bit quicker just because there's zero saturation out there. Like I said, I can usually tell within 30 seconds if your profile is making sales or not, or if you have a marketing breakdown. Of course, when I look behind the scenes, there's a lot more data that I'm looking at, but I can tell within 30 seconds, and we're going to kind of break down some of what those signs really are. The key principles that are necessary for growth are incredibly evident when it comes to marketing and when it comes to sales. Your first thing you have to do in business, and this is right after post-launch, even pre-revenue, right after post-launch, your first major goal is to get a rinse and repeat marketing strategy and understand what it takes in order to get people to buy. You need proof of concept throughout your entire buying cycle to see what does it actually take in order to get somebody to buy. Once we have that, once you have your marketing and your sales really set, all you have to do is get in front of new people, and we know it's going to work. We know it's going to convert. We know that it's going to scale. But I say that very nonchalantly, but it does take time. It does take refinement. It does take consistency, but there does become a time, to answer your exact question here, that, your marketing is just not going to convert and we need to try something else. These are some of the warning signs that you need a major change in your actions. First things first is that you've been doing the same things for months to years and you are seeing very little growth. If I were to give you a number, I would say 3 to 6 months. If you have been doing something for 3 to 6 months consistently, you know that you're kind of doing the full picture of your strategy and you've been doing it for 3 to 6 months and nothing is working, we might want to make a change. We might want to look at something else to do there. I do think we just have to define what actually seeing no results is. No results means no results. Sometimes we have this goal to, I want 5,000 followers. I want 10,000 followers. I want to make $10,000 in sales. Whatever that goal is for you, we say we're seeing no results, but there actually is a lot of evidence of results. Are you seeing an increase in engagement? Are you seeing an increase in followers? Whether it is, even if it's 50 a month, are you actually seeing evidence of growth and just saying that you're seeing no growth? Or are you actually seeing very little to no growth? And that might be the case. It might be the case that you're seeing very little to no growth. If you're doing the exact same thing, you're staying consistent, and you know that there's a strategy behind it for 3 to 6 months, it's time to at least try something new. It's not to say to stop doing this, but it might be to add something into that plate. The next one is that your product is in every single photo front and center. If I pull up your profile and every single picture is your product either in its packaging, on a table, or just like shown on you with very little context, very little detail, very little depth behind those posts, I know your marketing is not converting. I know that your audience is bored, they're zoned out, they're like, okay, great, they're probably your friends and family, because that is not going to attract new people and that's not going to actually sell to new people. At the end of the day, I think it's really important that people really don't give a shit about your product. People care about what it's going to do for them. People care about what it is actually going to add into their life. How is it going to make you feel? They care about the story, they care about the benefit, and they care about the problem that you're solving. And so if you are never talking about anything deeper than like, look at how pretty this necklace is, or, look at this candle, it is lavender and mint. If you are only ever talking about those things, that's all people know about your product. They don't know the values of your brand. They don't know why they should pick your product over anybody else's. They don't know what your product is actually going to do for them. And they really don't have a good idea of what your brand is even all about. They don't have like this feeling behind the brand. Why? Is because it's just your product that you're focusing on. You're not selling the product. I think a really good quote for this is that you're not selling the mattress, you're selling the good night's sleep. So like when you go to buy a mattress, what do? You try it out. You're laying on it. You don't care if it's 3 inches of memory foam or it's 6 inches wide, whatever, coils. You don't care what the heck is in that mattress. You just care that you are going to get the best night's sleep. You're going to wake up and your back doesn't hurt and you're going to feel refreshed. And that's really all that matters. You don't care about the mattress itself. You don't care what's in it. Just give me the best night's sleep. That's all that you want. That is what you have to do with your product. You have to sell that good night's sleep. You have to sell that, confidence that they feel when they put your product on. You are selling the story, not just the product. The next one is that you have no deeper message behind your brand than having a good product or an affordable product or a high quality product or a handmade product. If your major value proposition that you just keep saying is like, well, I hand make it, and like, I'm a small business owner, again, that is going to really struggle for you to try to get to those next steps. Why that is because, again, nobody cares about your product. It really isn't the major point of why people are buying from you. When was the last time, and I just want you to reflect on this, when was the last time you bought from a company strictly because of the technology of the product, the technology, the features? And I want you to really think about that. You didn't care at all about how it's going to make you feel, what it's going to look like on, whether that's tangible or not tangible, that you are recognizing that. Very rarely, 90% of business decisions are actually emotional. So you have to bring emotion into your marketing. People aren't just going to feel the emotion in and of themselves. You have to create that emotion within your marketing. So if you have no deeper message, why your product is so great, what is your overall differentiator, how is it going to make you feel, that is really what matters. So yes, we need to diversify from just having product photos in every single post. From, we need videos, we need media, but we also need topic diversity. I want you to educate me. I want you to tell me about the values of your brand. I want you to be relatable or empowering, or like, tell me the message. I need a deeper message behind your brand as a whole than just, we sell X, Y, and Z. If your bio has only exactly what you sell in your bio and there's no emotion in there, there's nothing, I know another red flag that your marketing is probably not working and that we need to try something new. The next one is that it seems like everything you post gets the exact same result. And when I say seem, I mean go and look at your analytics. If you go and look at your analytics and none of them have profile visits, none of them have website clicks, none of them are getting responses on your story, it just feels like an absolute ghost town, as well as it actually is a ghost town. So you can feel this way, but we also need to look at the data here, because again, I think a really important distinction here is understanding the difference between no results and an actual ghost town versus it just feeling like there's no results. And you're actually seeing growth. It might just be small and it might just be incremental and it might just not be where you want it to be yet. But if it seems like everything you post is getting the exact same mediocre result, there's very little comments, very little likes, very little saves, shares, profile visits, website clicks, every email you send out just kind of falls flat, it's time to make a change. The next one is that if I were to ask you right now, what is your content framework? What is your content strategy? And you have no answer to that question, you need to make a change. If I were to say, hey, is there a purpose behind this post? And you're like, no, I just feel like I have to. If you're just posting because you feel like you have to, you aren't really following a strategy or a framework or anything of that nature, it's time to make a change. There are too many businesses out there. If I'm going to be incredibly honest and incredibly frank with you, there are too many businesses out there for you to not have a strategy at this point. There are too many businesses out there trying to build something similar to you or just another business in general for you to not understand what it takes to actually build, how to actually do it. If you are trying to take your business seriously, if you seriously are trying to hit multi-six figures, 7 figures in your business, you're trying to grow, you're trying to have kind of like a legacy brand, you're trying to really make a stance in your industry, you need to have a strategy. More than just like, here's my product, look at how great it is, look at the problem it solves, great. You need to have more of a strategy than just like, well, I'm just trying to get it out there. I'm just trying to go viral, or, I'm just being consistent. If your answer to the question is what your strategy is that you're trying to be relatable and you're posting 3 times a day, like if your answer is just frequency, that is not a strategy either. I have a lot of episodes out there about what actually is a strategy. There is an absolute necessity to having a strategy in your business at this point, especially if you're trying to grow on social media, especially if you're in a saturated industry, especially even if you are a business that is inventing something that isn't really out there, you need a strategy in all of those different pieces from there as well. Last but not least on this list, hey, I'm jumping in here for 30 quick seconds for those of you who are loving the podcast but wish we could dive deeper into every episode topic together. I have actually started a completely free podcast community called the Small Business Cafe for exactly this purpose. Inside this community, we dive deeper into every podcast episode, provide bonus resources, and actually host completely free monthly coaching calls with me. So you can get your questions answered. Plus, you get to submit your questions for our Friday coaching session episodes and connect with other founders too. If you have been loving being a part of this podcast and want to connect with other brand founders, plus get extra support from me, click the link in the show notes below to join. This is that you only have friends and family buying from you and you can't break out of that friends and family cycle. This is something that I hear a lot from prospective clients when I'm on a connecting call with them, just like looking at what their business is like. Is they're like, Maddie, I really only have friends and family and like acquaintances and kind of like that next step of like, my friends of friends in my audience and buying from me. If that's the case, that tells me that your marketing isn't calling in new people. It's the only reason that it's calling people in is because they are connected to you in some capacity and they're trying to support you, or they're trying to support their friend's friend, or, they know you to some degree. That is not an actual connection. That is not proof of concept in your marketing. That tells me that we're not able to get new people interested enough to want to stick around and stay by you. So these are some of the major red flags. When you send me a DM on Instagram, which feel free to do, you can send me a DM and just say, hey, Maddie, what do you think of my marketing? Or, if I'm doing a business audit for somebody, feel free. I would love to do a business audit for you. If you want to send me a DM on Instagram at This Is Madison Page, you can just say audit. I'll do a podcast audit, or I'll do an Instagram audit for you. These are the things that I'm looking for. I'm looking at your bio. I'm looking at your content. I'm looking at your pinned posts because that's a big part of the strategy. I'm looking at the messaging that you have. I'm looking at, the consistency that you're posting. Yes, but I'm looking at the consistency of a deeper values, deeper content, deeper information. And I'm looking for an actual like entertainment factor. We have to think about now. I'm not saying you need to go out there and be a stand-up comedian. I'm not saying you got to go out there and dance around on Instagram. I'm talking about, I actually want to watch your content. And this is a really key distinction. It's like, if I find myself when I'm Instagram auditing you being like, kind of like zoning out and like, oh, all of a sudden I'm, texting somebody or I'm in my DMs and I'm like, shoot, I was doing something. That tells me that your content isn't engaging enough to even keep me around when I'm doing something particularly. And so why does that tell me that, what does that make you think that somebody is going to want to stick around, want to follow you? You have to think about what makes you want to follow you on Instagram. What makes you want to follow people? Why do you click that follow button? What do they have to do in order to make that happen for you? And how can we start stepping into that? When we're looking at your content, it has to be deeper. It has to be more intentional than just let's just post to post. Social media is one of the greatest assets and tools of our generation to build a business. Now, I think AI is right up there with it, and it's emerging and it's new and it's going to happen. But social media has made being a business owner have so much lower barrier to entry. There is very little you need other than a cell phone and your product in order to make money on Instagram. Why are you not putting your full effort into it? Why are you not being strategic? I see it every single month that people blow up on Instagram and then it changes their life. I see it every single month that social media provides people a community and a space to make sales when they're on maternity leave or when they have to step away. I see it happen where social media is the catalyst to people's business. And even if you're growing in a different sense, even if you have a brick and mortar, social media is still necessary because it's actually almost replacing websites for where people are going to find information. If I hear of a new brand, I don't go to Google and type in their brand name on Google. I'm going to Instagram and I'm trying to see their Instagram so I can see what their business is all about. I don't really care about your website. I went to a farmer's market the other day and there was somebody that is creating a really great new product. I had never heard of it. It was kind of in like the wellness community. And I was like, oh my gosh, like I'm so deep into this world. How have I never heard of this? She was like, oh no, I'm the first of its kind. I came home and I looked her up on Instagram. I didn't look up her website. I didn't go to her website. I went to her Instagram and I wasn't impressed by her Instagram. I truly don't even know the name of the brand anymore. I didn't follow it. And I'm thinking about it all the time because I'm like, oh my gosh, that product was so great. I loved her product, but her marketing was not there. Your marketing, I need the messaging. I need what it's going to do for me. And I need the depth there. So to recap some of these things, you've been doing the same thing for months to years and you're seeing very little growth and no evidence of real growth from sales to engagement to followers. You are doing the same thing with a strategy, but yet it's not working. Some sort of strategy, even if it's just frequency, or if you've taken a course before and you've been trying to do it and it hasn't been working for 3 to 6 months, it's time to try something new. Again, that doesn't mean you have to kick social media to the curb. It just means that we have to either change your content, change some objectives, try influencer marketing, or try some other pieces. We need to look at other areas to bring, reliable sales in. The next one is that your product is in every single photo, front and center. There is like no depth. There is nothing else than like, here's a product photo or a quick product like try on. And that's all that I'm seeing. The next one is you have no deeper message behind your brand than having a good product. Basically, I'm not seeing any variety in topics. I'm not seeing any values. I'm not seeing any message. I'm not seeing a reason that I should buy. The next one is that it seems like everything you post gets the exact same result, that you aren't seeing any engagement. You're not seeing hardly any reaction to it. It's just like your audience is fully zoned out. The next one is you have no true strategy, and your answer to if I were to ask you what your strategy is, you would either A, maybe scoff in my face and be like, Maddie, absolutely nothing. I have no idea. B, being like, I don't have one. I'm just posting to post. Or C, being like, yeah, I try to post 5 times a day or 5 times a week on Instagram. I try to be relatable on my Instagram stories and like call it good. Not a strategy, any of those things. We need to have some intentionality and like really understanding. When I ask that question, I want the answer of my feed is doing these things. These are the content that I'm posting there in order to try to get out. My stories is doing this. And what my intention is on my stories is doing these things. And then my email list, I'm doing this other thing. And I also have some SEO going on. That is my marketing strategy. I want to know what your top, your middle, and your bottom of funnel is and how they're actually working and what you're doing in those objectives. That is having a marketing strategy. Last but not least is you have only friends and family buying from you because you don't have an engaging enough content to want to get people to stick around, to follow you, or to engage with you, or, to stay in your community. If you're listening to this and you're saying, Maddie, I feel all of those things, I just want to tell you, you are not alone. This is not to call you out. This is not to attack you. This is truly just for me to tell you the signs and the symptoms of what it actually means to have a marketing funnel that is not working, a marketing strategy that is not working. And this might just be a wake-up call that nothing changes if nothing changes at this point. If you're hearing this and you're like, Maddie, holy cow, all of those things are me. Nobody's listening. Nothing's growing. I'm not getting any engagement, and my product is everywhere. I don't even know what you mean when it comes to really building a message behind your brand. Plaster this all over. Put it on your mirror in the morning that nothing changes if nothing changes. It's time to move some things around. It's time you get strategic. It's time you add intentionality behind your brand. If you have big goals for your brand, if you know your product has big time potential, that it could be in stores someday, it could be in houses nationwide, it could be in wholesale, it could be on all of these other areas, but you just don't know how, or you just don't know how to get from A to B to B to C to C to D, D to E. How do I really go about actually making that come to life? It's time to learn a strategy. If you're winging it, and you have been, and you're asking ChatGPT and no results are coming yet, it's time to make that potential, those goals official, and actually start taking steps to make that be the thing that works, to make, go all in on it. It's time to make that happen. And I think ChatGPT is a big conversation we can have here as well. If your ChatGPT marketing strategy was going to work, it would have worked by now. Plain and simple. ChatGPT is 3 to 5 years behind in strategy right now. And so it's not to say that it's I love AI. I use it every day for my business. You need to use it for your business. It's just necessary at this point. And it's now it's the future, but their marketing is not going to be unique. It's not going to know your business enough. It's not going to know the creativity enough in order to, at least at this point, it could change. But right now, if your ChatGPT marketing strategy was going to work, it would have worked by now. So we have to look at this and we have to say, all right, it's time for a change. These are the signs, these are the symptoms. This is like me telling you, hey, you have a runny nose, you're sneezing, you have a fever, you probably have a cold, and you saying, I don't need to do anything about it. I'm not going to do anything. I'm not going to do anything to make it better. I really want to be healthy again, but I'm good. I'm just going to wait it out and hope that this cold goes away. And I'm saying, hey, it's probably not going to go away unless we do this thing. And you're like, no. So I just want you to say, these are your symptoms. This is what's going on. These are the signs that it's time for a change. Now, what you do with this information is up to you. Know that I'm here for you. Know that I'm in your corner to support you. Know that if you have more questions on this, I'm happy to answer these questions. Feel free to DM me on Instagram at This Is Madison Page. You can just DM me audit on Instagram, and I would love to do an Instagram audit for you. Everything I say is always with so much love. Even if I'm calling you out, I'm sharing it with love because I know I see it work for other people and I want it to work for you as well. So these are the signs, these are the symptoms. Now what you do with it is up to you. Just a reminder, nothing changes if nothing changes. And if you're frustrated, if you're at a breaking point, if you're like, holy cow, I need this to work. I'm at this point that, I really want it to happen. I want a different reality. I want these sales to grow, but it's just not happening and you don't understand why. It's time to make a change. It's time to get official. It's time to really start adding some intentionality behind everything that you're doing. And I would absolutely love to help you with that. I hope this was helpful for you. I love you. I'm rooting for you. I'm in your corner always. If you have any questions for me, make sure that you reach out in the DMs. If you found today's episode helpful and are looking for more tangible ways to grow your business, make sure you are subscribed to the show. If you want to dive deeper into this topic more, click the link in the show notes and join our completely free podcast community where we dive into every single podcast topic as well as give some bonus support and free coaching calls. And finally, if you are interested in getting my eyes on your business to find your hidden opportunities to scale, apply to work with me one-on-one in the show notes or on our website. Remember, it's not enough to listen. Don't forget to implement too. I love ya. I'll see you in the next episode.